Yo, this one right here is deep. Choke no joke. Pulled up. The original New York Times article from 2 weeks after Tupac died. And it's wild what they reported back then compared to what people say now. He starts off breaking it down. September 29th, 1996. The New York Times ran a story by Jeff Lean and Jim Newton right after Pac's death. The headline? The FBI was investigating death row records for links to gangs and drug trafficking. And that probe had already started before Pac was even shot. So while everyone was pointing fingers in Vegas, the feds were already circling death row. Choke goes, "We know this is real, because Kevin Hackie, the guy Reggie Wright hired, was actually an undercover fed." He's like, Reggie probably pooping his pants right now, because Hackie's been open about working with federal agents during that whole death row era. That's crazy. Death row was under investigation before that Vegas shooting even happened. Now here's where it gets heavy. According to the New York Times, police said 2 men opened fire on Tupac with large caliber handguns as he tried to crawl into the back seat. Not one shooter, 2. And the article even said evidence at the scene backed that up. That's 2 weeks after the murder, straight from police sources. Not fan theories, not YouTube speculation, actual law enforcement quotes. And get this, that same report said Orlando Anderson couldn't have been one of the shooters because he'd been detained after that MGM fight. The cops literally said he couldn't have tailed Death Row's crew through the city because he was being held after the brawl. 2 shooters. Orlando ruled out. 2 weeks after Pac died. So all those later stories? Choke saying, yo, the timeline never matched up. Then he breaks down how even Suge's injury doesn't add up to the drive-by version. The Times said Suge only got grazed by a piece of metal, not a bullet, and even Suge himself confirmed years later it was a metal fragment, not a gunshot wound. Choke reminds us, if Suge really got shot, you think the hospital would have just stitched him up and sent him back to the club? Nah. Suge was out within hours. He even calls out the part that doesn't make sense. Why shoot someone in the most gridlocked part of Vegas? Unless, as he says, your ass had a badge. He's implying whoever did it had some kind of law enforcement cover, because no street crew would risk blasting in that spot without getting caught in minutes. And at the end, Choke flips the narrative completely. He says Suge himself already told the truth, that Orlando Anderson wasn't the shooter, and that Keffy D even admitted to Suge years later, "We ain't have nothing to do with that." Suge's reply, "I know, if you did, I'd have been on you already." That's coming straight from the man who was in the car. Choke closes it by saying, if Keffy D really shot Tupac, you think he'd still be sitting face to face with Suge later on like it's cool? Hell no. He'd be terrified. So now, after all these years, Choke's basically saying the first reports, the feds' involvement, 2 shooters and Orlando being detained, all point to something way deeper than the street story we've been told. And when you line it up with Suge's own words, it just might change how people look at the Vegas shooting forever.
Dust on my kicks, dreams in my knapsack. Life gave me bricks, I built the trap back. Wolves in the shadows, hunger in their eyes. Climbed out the gallows where the lost hope dies. Clock ticks slow, nights felt eternal. Fist to the wall, broke through infernal. Concrete symphony, streets sang pain. Umbrella of struggle, survived the rain. Made it out, yeah, but now what's left? The mirror stares back. Stole my breath, survived the storm, but the calm feels strange. A line in the cage, still craving change. Fought with the devil, scars on my knuckles. Words in my mind sharp, cut through struggles. A phoenix in the ash, flames in my chest. Survived the wreckage, but I ain't found rest. Came from the belly, the beast spit me out. Now I walk free, but the silence too loud. sunlight's gaze. Do I build or do I drift? Do I heal or stay adrift? A fighter soul never learns to sit. Even in peace, I'm chasing grit.